This
We're
meeting is being
recording
recorded.
now.
Okay. Whew. All right. Here we go. Okay.
Okay.
So when we get a bigger budget, we won't have that problem.
I
Okay,
understand
sure. Yeah.
more than you know.
Well, hey man, I just want to say I'm just tickled to death to have you on. I've been checking you out since you first came on the scene, as He-Man, and which is cool because I always thought, like, if you're gonna try and like retro engineer some of these heroes that you and I were probably, came up on in regards to like He-Man and G.I. Joe. Well, mostly like He-Man and all the big muscly white men and women that were, running around in, you know,
Fighting
loincloths or
for
whatever.
America.
Mm,
America or Eternia.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? So
mhm.
so just seeing that aspect of it, was really cool. And seeing how the children were reacting to you, it was awesome. So when I said, it's I'm a long time listener, first time caller, like I really meant that because I was just like, oh, I want to have him on my show. Oh, I want to have him on my show because I had another podcast
Mm.
called LJ Presents, and I was like, I need to get him on. I need to get him on. But anyway, here we are.
Now we're here, yeah.
And now we're here. Also, I have one question off topic, and that is, do you still have your Dodge Charger?
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
I'm not giving it up. There's some shakeups happening when it comes to my vehicles at this point.
Mm,
I'm about to get rid of my 2017 Ram pickup. It's
mm,
it's all-wheel drive. I love it. I just actually I'm So tomorrow morning, I am heading to New York for a big, photography and videography event called Lightbenders. And,
mm,
it's one of those few events where you go to take real photos, in your cosplay. And
mm,
not just con photos, but like, an actual like photo shoot, unless you like pay for like a separate shoot for just one particular cosplay. This one here, they have different fandoms, different genres, set up throughout the day for you to jump in if you've got something that fits within that genre. And
mm.
you just spend all day, taking photos, changing in different cosplays and doing what you can within the amount of time that you have. And my wings for Hawkman, they span
Mm,
from tip to tip, spread all the way out, probably like 8 to 10 feet.
mm.
And so the only way that I can transport that is in a truck, either a truck or what I'm now looking at is this mini SUV. Um,
Gotcha.
that just happens to be electric. So it's
Mhm.
yeah, but no, I'm never going to give up my charger. That is
Well,
my first kid, and he's
uh-huh.
paid off, and no,
Yeah, well, the reason why I ask is because I have a 2015 Dodge Charger,
okay.
and my first muscle car. I don't know what happened. I think it was like late 40s. It kind of like woke up one day and was like, I like muscle cars and sneakers now. Like it literally just popped like that. And sure enough, I was going for a walk and I walked by the Dodge dealership, really serendipitously, and there
Wow,
she
it's like
was.
Mm.
you should make a
What
short film about that. That sounds very like, wake up,
it's
I'm into sneakers and cars now. I walk
yeah,
by the lot, see that, I'm
and
like,
there she
My
was.
I
yeah.
gr-
Yeah.
I grew up in a Mopar family.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad started out. I think he met my mom because he had like a '69 satellite, a '69
Mm,
Plymouth
Mhm.
satellite, and then
hmm
he eventually got a '73 Roadrunner, and then from there they just had GM vehicles throughout the entire time. And then when I came along, and then you know when the Chargers came back in
Right.
2005 and 2006. No, the Challenger came first in 2005, and
Yeah,
then
early
then
2000s. Yeah.
no, no, no. I'm sorry. The Challengers came second in 2008 because my mom has a first edition, Challenger SRT8, and my dad
Okay.
had the original 2006 SRT8 Charger, and then in 2015 and 2016 he went and got two Hellcats. Um, so and
Dang.
then my mom went and got the Hellcat Durango for the 2023 Hellcat
She was
Durango.
not going to be stood up. Like she was not going to be up,
But no,
upstaged.
no. But then that's the thing.
Yeah.
She's got a 2006 SRT10 Viper truck that's just
Good
sitting right
gracious.
there. 6-speed manual transmission. Like 500 horsepower, and it's got 7,000 miles on it.
Oh,
Dang.
oh my
Wow.
God, I want
7,000,
to cry.
man. And then like last year or 2 years ago, my dad got a T-Rex. And
Hmm.
then he was like, "This is just too big for me because it's a massive truck." And then he went and got another. He got the limited, not the bighorn. So yeah, like I said,
Hmm.
we've this is all we've done is
Gotcha.
Mopar vehicles. But now that this whole electric thing is happening and gas is still over $3.80 for like premium and mid grade, because that's what these cars
Hmm.
take. So
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
the
yep.
other day I saw a Tesla Cybertruck for the first time, like going down the street, and I was like, dang, it had like a little like dirt on the rim, like they just got back from like off-roading,
look,
and it looks crazy. Yeah.
those things are tanks. I have seen them. I've seen
Yeah.
them in accidents. They crush vehicles. They are.
Oh yeah. You're
They
not gonna
are. Yeah.
win.
No, those are the tanks that GI Joe was using against Cobra.
Oh, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like my running, we'll actually get into cosplay here in a second, but like my whole running thing now is that, I've made it a point to see how much I can like fix my car because now it turned over 100,000 miles and like all the things that need to be repaired. And I'm not a gearhead. Like I'm really a newborn gearhead. So,
Okay.
now I'm like YouTube channel, YouTube University, figuring out
Yeah.
how to like,
Mhm.
fix things. And yeah, I'm doing pretty good. But yeah, but
Yeah.
that charger, yeah, that charger, like we dubbed the Millennium Falcon. And so
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mine is named as Midnight. As in
Okay.
like
Dang.
MIDKNIGHT. Yeah, midnight. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I don't refer to my vehicles as females, like because you
Mm,
you naturally said there she is when you were talking about your car,
yeah.
because in my mind, every car that I own is an Autobot. And there's only
Mm.
been there's only been two female bots, and that's what Alita 1 and RC. So
Right, the motorcycle, right?
right,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's why I say like all of my cars are Transformers or Autobots. So, my engine's painted, nothing but like it's always like Spawn imagery on it. And,
Yeah, yeah.
at one point in time, I've had a chip in it. I was in a car club, and it was a pissing
Hmm.
contest every single like month.
Wow.
Who could put the next thing on the car and who could get to be the fastest, and, halos and
Oh,
underbody lights.
wow.
And
Wow.
it became too much. And I was like, okay, yeah. And now that I have a
Now,
kid, what's the
oh
point?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, none of that. I mean, you can, but the trade-off is, will Kai get to eat that day? Just like my,
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
what I mean? No, like when I'm looking at my son, I'm
Some
like,
days were so
ah,
cold.
I gotta.
Nah,
See why you put my
nah,
business out
nah,
there
nah.
like that? No, stop. But okay, one last thing, but I don't know if you've seen it, but there's like a little mini documentary on YouTube called "The Black Ghost." Have you heard about this car? Look
No.
it up. It's either 69 or a 1970 Dodge Challenger.
Okay.
The man who owned it, he passed away like in 2015.
Mhm.
He was a Green Beret.
Mhm.
He was in Vietnam, got out. It was a brother,
Mhm.
got out, then became a Detroit police officer. Like when you hear his story, you're just, I'm like, wow, he's like a police officer, only drew his gun out once, and then out of nowhere he decides to buy this tricked out Dodge Challenger, and he would race in the back streets and then just bounce. He would beat your ass and then go,
While being a
leave it
police
in the garage.
officer.
Well, partly, yeah. The reason why is because he was a police officer. He can't be out like road racing. But anyway, but he'd win and then just leave, and then no one would see this car for months on end. So I want to leave you with
Wow.
that. So
That's
when you get
cool.
done, yeah, when you get
See,
done, look that up. It's
see,
amazing.
the thing is, like, I had to start a conversation yesterday because yesterday the new Crow remake trailer dropped, right?
Oh, that's right. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah,
And it's the Crow, it's whatever. It's not Brandon Lee, it's not what it used to be, whatever. But
yeah.
what I did do on Facebook is I'm like, listen, instead of going to see this Crow movie, look up The Wraith from 1986.
Ooh,
And yeah, it's a Charlie Sheen movie where it's essentially The
yeah.
Crow, but he came back as he was basically a car driver. So, you can think of like Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, as what he is before Robbie Reyes was created. But the car that he was driving, that he was using to basically demolish the people who killed him, was a Plymouth, is a concept car called a Plymouth Interceptor.
Mm.
And it
I
sounds
think I've
like
seen those.
it's got an electric engine. I think there's only like 4 or 5 made in the entire world, with like one is still in operation now. So you
Hmm.
want to talk about like ghost cars? That right there is where you go.
Nice,
Mm-hmm.
nice, nice. Well, all right. So this is Dad Shoes,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the podcast where we talk, all geek culture, pop culture, and now cars. Since I want to start fixing the Falcon here, but today
Mm-hmm.
we have our very first guest on the show. Long time coming. I've been checking this brother out for like a long, long time. I like how, first of all, I really dig the way you keep your private life private and your cosplay life, public, and because your business is your business and all that, cool stuff. And so,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, I will present to you Mr. Demetrius Holt.
Just hold.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think you're the first person to, I think, acknowledge the fact that I don't. The only thing I talk about publicly is my relationship with my son, and how we cosplay together, or the fact that he's growing before my eyes, and I do chronicle everything that he does when I have him. So
Hmm.
that's cool. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, not a problem. I mean, really, from one dad to another, that was like one of my things. I was like, I get where he's coming from,
Yeah.
with all that. And so, yeah,
Respect it.
but yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely. But I know Banneker, you've got some questions, so go ahead and let's get this party rolling.
Yeah, I mean, well, number one is because obviously we know you're like a cosplayer, but what's your favorite like costume that you've ever worn, or like favorite thing to like cosplay as repeatedly?
The When it comes to like the most simplest cosplays are the ones that tend to be your favorites, and that would have to be like Cyclops for me, or even my Sub-Zero.
Mhm.
So my Sub-Zero is my most lore defined cosplay, whereas Cyclops is my most I want to say personal, like uh personal passion project for what he stands for. If you've ever really truly read the comics and seen how Scott Summers has gone from hero to villain to menace to revolutionary, you kind of track the fact that this man was all about his people all the time. And I decided to do that cosplay and that character around the time when George Floyd was murdered. So,
Mhm.
with the idea of being for your people, and being, being protective of like your black son, that deal, like it all came together for me then. So those are the two favorites that I like to say are my favorites. But Spawn, of course, has a very special place in my heart. And Hawkman was a surprise cosplay. um,
Oh, that was
but
spur of the moment.
it okay. So the reason why, okay, so the thing is, I was contracted to cosplay as Hawkman because
Mm,
the person who was the benefactor for that cosplay, they wanted to turn that into an NFT. This was when this was popping,
Yeah.
NFTs and crypto and all that stuff. And
right.
what ended up happening was they tried to use the image of Hawkman to try to get them close to Aldous Hodge, right? They tried to
Mm,
find a way to get in within like his inner circle in a very Hollywood uh clout chasing sort of way, and it didn't work out for them. But the universe gives back to you what you give it. And what happened was I was the one who ran into Aldous Hodge at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was the one who made the connection with him, with everything and how things went down. So it was a cosplay that I didn't expect that I was ever going to do because it just wasn't something that was, that character is not something that I would do on a normal basis. But since I was
mm,
initially paid to do so, um, and then I turned it into my own thing when they, you know, basically, just I don't want to say shit the bed, but that's what they did. When it came to
I was
to,
totally
to
thinking that. Yeah.
yeah, when they basically did that, I had to take over in a certain way, and I made it my own. And going to New York for the Black Adam premiere and being up on stage in Times Square and doing all that stuff there, that was completely on a whim. So
That's
it's
crazy.
it's
Yeah.
become a signature
Mhm.
cosplay, but that was really a surprise. But yeah, I think Kratos is always going to be like one of my favorites because that was my first,
Mhm.
and that one meant a lot because it was the transition from one life to another. So, yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Cool. And a lot of people, like I was entertained by seeing Black Adam and just
I didn't see it.
I I know. Okay, yeah,
Whoa. No.
my son has has a thing with Warner Brothers,
No, I
and
don't.
yeah.
What?
Well, okay. Well, we were just talking about the DCEU and
Oh
how
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I don't
yeah.
know where you're going with this, so
Well,
can
I'm going with, hey, you should see Black Adam. You should go see Black Adam. He was like,
uh
nah, I'm good.
well maybe
But
I'll
anyway,
see it now, but yeah, all of this is
I mean, not like it matters now, but
yeah, it kind it so saying that kind of leads me to
yeah.
like the next question I have, which is, not to get political, but what's your opinion on the state of the MCU right now?
Okay. Okay. So you have to understand, like, you know, L understands where I'm coming from when I say this. I am 39 years old.
Mhm.
Okay. That means that I came up in the era where there was Darkman, there was Mantis, there was
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like there was, I mean, Hercules and Xena, like we got genre television and we got movies like Warlock and like let's say like The Wraith and stuff, and it was cool. It was dope that Hollywood was actually producing something of an original nature all the time, because it was just like, ooh, that seems to be nice, that seems to be cool. So when we got to the era of the superheroes, and 1998, we had our Blade, and then from there, the echelons and the bar was risen by Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, and then it fell on Spider-Man 3, and then we started getting stuff like Fantastic Four, and then Ghost Rider, and then Daredevil. Like the state of movies at that particular moment in time was not really good, especially if you knew the X-Men. What we saw in those movies was not the X-Men ever, and it was something to just be like, okay, it's here. So when the MCU actually came and they used a C-list character like Iron Man as their flagship, and then they centered an entire universe around him and the experiences of all these other characters that nobody really cared about, because no one cared about the Avengers, but of course, the
Now
whole
it's
reason why. I mean, yeah, but now I'm saying now it's that's what it is. But so I say all that to say is that I am an unapologetic Marvel fanboy. Um, I will not speak badly about any IP that Marvel puts out. I will just say that it wasn't for me. And when I say that because there are comic books that are not geared for me. So whenever I've seen these Marvel movies and I understand that they are all leading to an Avengers movie, I think about it as individual comic books that are telling stories that lead to an annual. So I don't hate any Marvel movie. I just may not see it more than once because I got it. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
for me. So when people are having all of these issues and all of these complaints about phases 4 and 5, and I'm like, it's a rebuilding era. Like, you all are sitting here saying that you want to have in-game level movies when it took us 10 years to get to Endgame. That's disingenuous and unfair to, even you as the viewer, because you had to grow with those characters. They're introducing new characters. Why, what happened to your attention span went away? Oh, okay. The pandemic did a whole lot to you more than just, like just melt your brains a little bit. Okay. Okay. So no, I don't engage in a lot of conversation when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because people don't pay attention to the stuff that they watch. And then when they do have some modicum of knowledge about it, they're still dumb. And it's having
Mhm.
it's difficult having case in point, X-Men 97. All these people who are saying that they're fans and they love X-Men, yada yada yada, they are saying there was a contingent. It was like there's like what? I thought Morph died. Why is Morph still in this? Why? How did that happen? If this is supposed to be a continuation, are they retconning this? Like, so y'all didn't see the first episode of the second season when he was
Yeah.
under Sinister's control? Like, I don't want to be that kind of guy, but why are you speaking if you don't know anything? It's just like just be quiet, learn something, or go to Disney Plus
And
and
watch it.
watch it.
no,
Why?
that's a
I don't know, man.
good
That makes way too much sense,
yeah,
Demetrius.
So my opinion on this, on the current state of affairs of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that things are in flux. They seem to have an idea as to where to move to maybe simplify the stories so a little bit because they have gotten way beyond their skis. I saw a dissertation about how they got so many different threads out there that they need to wrap up with Secret Wars, which is something I'm excited to see. I want to see
Right.
what a celestial, what happens when a celestial is sticking out of the Indian Ocean. You know what I mean? Like what's going to happen with that? Is that where Animantium is going to come from? I don't know, but me as a viewer and a fan of this stuff, it's my job to just be supportive and to receive what they give me. And if I could write something better and find myself in a position to get it made into a publication or into a production, then that's
Yeah.
my then that's my right. But why complain about it? Why just go on and on and on about how I can't change something that I'm not in a position to change it? Just stop watching it if you hate it so much. I stopped
that's a
watching
I
really
DC.
mean,
good yeah.
I
That's a
stopped
good
watching DC
philosophy
movies.
for it. Okay. That's a good
yeah, no.
philosophy for it. Yeah. I
Yeah. Did you
mean,
have a follow-up?
no, I was
I'm
just
sorry.
saying that. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mhm.
Are you
Yeah,
good?
I'm done
Oh,
talking
okay.
Oh.
Okay. My bad. My bad. Didn't mean to cut you off like that. Yeah. So it was, yeah, in regards to the celestial literally sticking out of the earth, like breaking the atmosphere and all that. It's going to be interesting to see what they do because we no one's ever really mentioned it. Ah, wait a minute, hold up. I think it was mentioned
She-Hulk,
like a couple of times. Yeah, She-Hulk. That's right.
She-Hulk,
That's
and
right.
it was in the newspaper, I believe. One of
Yeah,
the it was one of the players. Yeah. See,
yeah, yeah.
I'm that guy. I watch YouTube videos on everything that I watch.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
up with, like heavy spoilers and Screen Crush and New Rockstar. So
Yeah.
oh no, yeah, those are the shows that we've watched as well. As a
Hmm.
matter of fact, we'll have an episode. We have an episode out, kind of talking about the brouhaha over Echo and how there were some people that were just like trashing the fight choreography
It was kind of
on that, and
funny
I was
because
just
it was
like,
like,
that's yeah. Go ahead, B.
what was ironic was they were like, it was people like reviewing it where it's like leaked footage or something on like, someone that has a phone recording a screen and it's like slowed down and the quality is really bad and it's like of course it's gonna not look good when it's shown like that. Yeah.
they
Yeah,
and see they know that they're being disingenuous.
Yeah.
But they need to have some sort of clickbait, but that dilutes the fan pool.
Yeah.
Stuff like that doesn't garner new fans. That just makes everything look so negative. So why would someone want to get into it?
Exactly.
I think we're getting into this era of we have to hate everything,
Mhm.
and everything is bad. I know that's really an oversimplification, but
Mhm.
I think one of the things that B and I have tried to talk about or at least critique, especially when it came to Echo and say the Marvels. Like we saw all the trashed reviews for the Marvels, and I'm like, yeah,
Like you
it's
look
not
it
really
up.
about that. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, you look up, review for like really any of the recent like Marvel products, and it's, distorted, like, be like, this is really bad. Look at this. Like,
Yeah,
then it's
yeah.
like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so our whole thing was to talk about, you know, like expand on what we didn't like about it and to actually give reasons, not just say, oh, well, it just sucked, and to like
Mm.
critique, do the complimentary sandwich and all that stuff.
Okay.
And yeah. And real quick, let's get into Blurred Station.
Oh,
And yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna cut this out a little bit. So we have uh like 9 minutes before it just auto shuts down. I don't know what your schedule is like, but if you have like 10 minutes to spare and we can keep going with Blurred Station,
yeah.
that would be awesome. But if you can't, cool.
No,
We just have to do a 10 minutes and then we can log back on. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So Blurred Station, like when I take it you are the spokesperson
yes. I
for yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was brought in about a year ago to do, is to bring Blurred Station to the Blurred community, in a way that um that the people who own it didn't know how to penetrate it. You know what I mean? Because they're
Hmm.
executives, they are Hollywood, you know, pitchers. They are people who created this app because um they're in these because they are writers that are in these rooms, and they're talking to these executives who have no idea what code switching is. You know what I mean? And when you're trying to pitch projects that are based in, like say, the Black culture, they immediately want to homogenize it to the point where it's available to middle America as opposed to the demographic it's targeted for.
Right.
And it starts to lose its voice. It starts to be lesser than what it could be or what it should be. So the originators, the people who created this entire situation, they want to have their speculative fiction stories as well as other people's stories, told as authentically as possible. But again, how do you start to bring it to the people in an authentic fashion? Well, let's see who's in the community that is not um too much of an introvert, um, who's out in the community and they already are doing something for the community, and that, like with me, it's blurred and powerful. So it's just a matter of I checked off a lot of boxes. So when they approached me, um, it took a little while, to adopt this mantra and to adopt what Blurred Station could possibly be, because you know
Hmm.
it's unfortunate to say this, but there's I've been the victim as well as many other people of just grifters,
Right.
who use the backdrop of I'm black and I'm proud, only to get your money and then to never have a product um to actually give you, and it's disappointing and it's disheartening. So,
Yeah.
and knowing that, and knowing that experience, especially let's say in the Blurred community, I know that it was going to be a difficult sell to get folks on board with it because of the massive repercussions that could come from it, will change the landscape of what Hollywood looks like. And we're the only
Right.
ones that are actually able to do this. Like, you got your Zeus networks, but that's already pigeonholed itself into what that has. Then you got your BET Plus and or your BET, and that's got a history of just being whatever. There's been no specific niche that has spoken to a specific niche within a niche within a niche,
Hmm.
within a community like Blurred Station has. So it's a hard sell, but once it gets going, once you see it, once you feel it, you're like, damn, we should have had this years ago.
I'm so glad that, you said some of those things because, you mentioned that it was going to be a hard sell. And when I first saw you pitch Blurred Station on Instagram, I'm sitting back and I'm like, ah, my first thought was, I want to see something,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And then after that, it was, well, it's Demetrius, and I've seen him for so long, and just off of impression, it was, oh, he's stand-up guy, but like, but he's asking for like 10.99 a month, and so I'm
Right.
I'm immediately like
Hmm.
running down this thing. Okay,
Yeah.
well, where does the money go to, and like
Hmm.
how is it going to be used, and what do we actually see, with this, and with that, also came the well, just wait and see. Like I wasn't thinking seriously. I wasn't thinking, okay, let me wait for the other shoe to drop. But it's like, no, no, no. It's, just like a fan base, you
Right.
know, yeah, just like with fan base, like these are things that are going to take a while, right?
Hmm.
And then, and I can also share with you offline, my other venture other than doing media and stuff, like I could share with you what's going to happen like next month, a little later, which took 4 years to build,
Hmm.
so I get it. So, in regards to that, how how has the response been, with that? Yo, man, I'm just gonna give you $11 a month. Like, how did that first go
Well,
over?
okay, so the first round of like talking to people about it, um and trying to garner support, really the only people who truly jumped in initially were those who, one, believed in me because they know I'm not about the bullshit, or I'm not about the nonsense that everyone else is about, because I don't have the time for it.
Right.
I've got a 4 year old that I have to find ways to pay for, whether it be child support, or whether it be extra stuff, or like there are things that I need to be focused on in order to make sure that he's good. And if this is something that isn't viable on a big scale, then I'm not going to waste my time on it, right? So people who know
Right.
me know that, okay? And then you got those who understand that ownership within a company, while it's at its startup, is not a bad investment, because when you
Right.
talk about a company's growth, and you being able to get dividends, which is something fan base doesn't do. we would be paying you out dividends as we get through subscriber milestones. So let's just say, 1 year you're getting like a $2,000 check, and another year you get a $7,000 check. That's just the breaks of being one of the first 100,000 subscribers, because that's what you get. Your initial investment after 36 months of paying 1099 was like what, $400.
Yeah.
So right,
Yeah.
and soon we're going to come out with an option to just pay the $400, and you would have earned the same amount of equity as anyone else who's been paying along the way. But
Right.
that's just one of those extra incentives that we're plotting out next. Um but then, like, the people who understand that, they jumped on, and then you got folks who want to see something that isn't disappointing. Like, I've been forced to know more about Blueface and Krishan than I have ever wanted to know. And that's because of Zeus Network. I didn't know who um uh uh the Puerto Rican princess was until Zeus Network. And then, like, what I mean? Like, I can't even think of her name
Okay.
right now. But like, I look at how we as a people are being depicted for monetary gain, and it does make me sick. It does,
Yeah.
because it's no different than putting on blackface and then having, white folks just basically act all Sambo-ish, and the whole minstrel shows. But yet we're harming ourselves doing that. And you know, there's so many different stories that could be told that don't have to be slave stories, that don't have to be, civil rights stories. I mean, yes, those are all important. Yet at the same time, we are more than just that.
Yeah.
And knowing the kind of stories that we are going to tell, it's important for that kind of representation to be out there, because you got some folks out there who just believe we are only basketball players and football players, and maybe something violent, because you've seen nothing but cops. you know
Right. Right.
so so it's important that this level of representation is out there, because it inspires people to do not only more, but more for themselves, and to look out for others, because they could be more for themselves as well. So,
Awesome.
those were the initial folks who jumped in.
So Blurred Station is made up of writers and execs, or how is it composed?
All right. So the people who originated, who founded it, Kevin Murphy and Dion Nichols, they are actually a writing and pitch team that have been together for like 20 years or so, and they've been pitching and selling shows to Hollywood, to like the various, whether it be shows or movies. They've been selling it to the studios.
Hmm.
So this is their industry. This is what they do, right? So the other people who are strategic partners, like myself, we have expertise and basically are a part of various parts of the industry or in entertainment.
Hmm.
We have a Netflix executive that is actually like helping us build out our platform, with various, points of advice. And
Hmm.
we've got a couple producers from like Power and American was it American Queens, or no, American Gangster, Trap
Yeah.
Queens. We've
Oh,
got
okay.
people who, like I said, who are actually working in the business, that are contributing, their contacts and their weight when we need them. And now that we've brought on Michael Jai White, Jillian White, and Orlando Jones, they have specific roles within a particular show that we are developing, not only for Blurred Station, but also for bigger platforms, so that we can gain more funding. And it's all about notoriety and credibility,
Right.
as since we are brand new and we are aiming to be on the same level as Netflix and whatnot. People don't trust it. People don't, look at it like, that we have anything really going for us, because, we're black. That's the first thing that strikes against us, is people just don't believe that we can get it done. But now that we're announcing some of the partnerships that we have, folks are starting to look at us and we're starting to have different types of conversations. And, we're actually coalescing um, uh, different entities that are having a hard time getting things done on their own so that we can band together to move forward. So the question I have for you is, when will this air?
This will air within the next 2 weeks.
Mhm. Then I can say confidently, then during the first part of our interview, I was hoping close a deal between us and Blam Fam. So if you're familiar with, if you're on TikTok, um, Blam Fam uh, is a marketplace app that was spawned out of, the need to do something different than just TikTok, especially for Black people because of content, well, content theft and then also content
Yeah.
suppression. So the fact that he himself, Blam Fam or Nike has a user base of about 30,000, folks, we're looking to start doing some cross promotion and letting people know that we've come together, in order to start, you know, producing more content that allows for folks to understand that we exist as a team. Excuse me. So with that
Yeah.
being said, it just grows our network and it grows the amount of people who would want to join Blurred Station, and the folks that don't know anything about Blam Fam can join that social network as well. So it's becoming, like I say, a for us by us situation, but
Mhm.
from the community as opposed to being straight up industry. You know, like that connection wouldn't have been made if I wasn't a part of the community. And I was like, hey, you know, I've got these credentials. I was like, yeah, we need to talk, Nike. Like, let's have a conversation. And once we started talking, he was like, oh, that's what y'all doing? I'm like, like, yes. And so he was like, I want in. So
Right, right, right.
you'll start to see some language about that here soon.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. And it's funny because I was actually thinking about Legion M,
Right.
that was out like a while ago, and of course I see the difference, between the two. Like for me, like when I saw Legion M pop up, you know, it- from my point of view, it was led to believe that you're actually going to be a part of the filmmaking process.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah, and that
So
and that
no.
yeah.
So their thing is they have a cap. They have, I believe, a $5 million cap per year for the amount of money that they can intake from investors, because the way that the federal rules work, since they are doing individual projects based on those investors, they can only take in so much money. But since we are a hybrid and we are doing not only investing on that one point, but also doing subscriptions, we don't see a cap. We don't have a cap. It's the same thing as like HBO Max has like what 110 million subscribers, or Netflix has 148 million subscribers. We're in order for Blurred Station to launch the app and to be viable for at least one year, we need to have at least 10,000 subscribers in order to get things going. But we see it as a milestone to hit 100,000 so that we can be funded for 3 years and do some of the big projects that we want to do, as opposed to, the local content. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's what we're aiming for, and honestly, there's no cap on how much we can grow. The same way you got Hulu or you got Disney Plus, they got millions of subscribers. Same thing can happen with us.
Gotcha,
But
gotcha.
but that Legion M, it's a great model, but they do individual projects as opposed to just doing something all like a whole kit and caboodle.
Gotcha, gotcha. And
Mhm.
did you have a question, B?
No,
No?
not on topic, but I have something like I'll say to wrap it up, I guess.
Okay, okay. And so you briefly covered it. So, but how does the equity work in this? So, uh, you've got subscribers slash investors, you know, putting
Mhm.
in 10.99 a month. I'm imagining it goes to an escrow. And the reason why I'm asking all this, of course, for selfish reasons, but also
Right.
I'm figuring like if I'm asking these questions, of course, I'm sure there's a gajillion others, that want to know as well, right?
Okay, so as far as the company's valuation when it comes to like being on the stock market, as
Hmm.
soon as we're publicly traded, we'll be able to start issuing out the dividends based on the value of the company, right? That's all dependent upon the number of subscribers and the kind of quality of talent that we have attached, right? That's how stocks work. If let's just say we had Robert Downey Jr., if we had like Denzel Washington, then of course our stock immediately goes up, right?
Right.
Okay. So in the meantime, that 1099, we have, if you go on the website, there's a thing called the Affinity Membership Program, right?
Hmm.
The way that we look at affinity is to say everything's coming together all at once. The fact that the DEI initiative for the diversity in all of corporate America is basically been evaporated because people decided to forget about George Floyd, and that they're
Right.
just they're beyond that culture issue, right? So between that ending and then folks wanting more content that represents them and represents them in a more speculative fiction sort of way, and with everything coming together all at once, we're calling it the Affinity Program. And the Affinity Program is allowing people to join in, as in say the first 100,000 subscribers. That 1099 contributes to the production of multiple shows, right? And the fact that when you sign up under an Affinity membership, you have a number of creators that you can choose from, right? The thing is, a portion of your 1099 goes to the creators that you wish to support,
Mm,
right? So then if they sign up underneath their name, they get a certain type of this, they get a certain amount of money from your subscription every single month to put towards their production for Blurred Station, until we're like fully funded and we're able to like fund these shows on our own. It's really subscriber funded at that point, but
gotcha.
really early on. So let's say but like some of the moves that we're making now, whereas we have entertainment lawyers now to help advocate for us or to get us in the room with certain individuals with last name Martin, first name Roland. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to get different ways to get our names out there so that the more eyes that we have and people see the value in what we're doing, then the likelihood of getting investors and getting more, rounds of money to produce things to then boost the value of the company to then get to the point where we can start paying our customers so that we can entertain them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So the money that everyone is putting in the 1099, it all goes towards pushing um the platform forward. A very good example for that right now is, you know, we may have been introduced to Michael Jai White's like entertainment lawyer and his contacts, but in order to utilize that lawyer, it's not, there's still a cost, and that all goes towards boosting the platform. So,
Gotcha.
nobody's just pocketing anything, and we want to make sure that we're completely transparent in that. And it's just everything goes towards building out the platform so that everyone can enjoy it the way that it's supposed to be enjoyed.
Yeah, that's dope. And when you were talking about the filmmakers or content creators or whatever that
Hmm.
are on board with Blurred Station and subscribers can put some of their subscription money towards them.
Hmm.
So whoever you bring on as a creator, they can pitch it to their people and know that they can bring money in and
Hmm.
give them a portion of it. So yeah. So
You see, it's
yeah.
something else that we looked at is when you look at Hollywood, there's only a few actors that have the power to say that they want to make money on the back end of a deal, right? You got your
Right.
Robert Downey Jr., you got your Tom Cruises, but none of them happen to be black. And I'm not seeing Denzel. I think Denzel was on the lowest list of as the lowest on the list of last year's Forbes, like actors that made the most money. I think he made like $24
Mm.
million last year. He was number 10, and
Mm.
everyone else was white and above him. So we're thinking if we
And
can
he's like a
solve
top, and he's top tier. He's like,
he crossed over.
yeah.
Yeah. But if we could solve
Yeah.
the issue that Taraji Henson was talking about, where, black actresses and black actors in general don't get the same kind of consideration when it comes to, when getting pennies on the dollar compared to their white counterparts, let's try to leverage that a little bit, right? Let's just say you got a Meg Thee Stallion that's got what 32 million fans on Instagram. If we were to bring her in on a project and we say, hey, we will offer you a certain percentage of, every, new subscriber that you bring in underneath your name on the back end of every like project that you're a part of, that establishes, even though she's already got money, but that gives her the incentive to start working with us on more projects because we're actually paying her what her worth is,
Right.
you know and it's a lot of people want to do these creative things. They want to have fun. That's what they got into acting for. But when you try to shirk them out of what they're worth, then that has a certain type of distaste to it.
Right.
It puts a bad taste in their mouth. So if we're trying to treat these amazing talents the way that they need to be treated, we would want to have a certain level of retention, have them keep coming back and doing more work with us and just continue to build the program or build the platform because why not? You're
Right.
having fun, you're getting paid, and there's nothing but respect. And you're not being diluted by how you want to present your story because you're not worried about what middle America is worried about.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned, like on another podcast, like in regards to being able to speak your piece without having to feel censored or having to code switch or
Hmm.
whatever. What about some of the platforms? Like what shows? Like are we doing just regular movies, TV shows? So you've got Blam Flam. How is this amalgamation of talent from various disciplines? How is that going to go into Blurred Station? Like what will the user be able to do with Blurred Station?
Okay, so we have at this point. Oh, okay, so at this point we're gonna have comics. You know, People can actually read comics like Comixology on the app itself.
Okay.
So we're talking. We have already like we have to call them indie creators because they're not Marvel, DC, Image, Wildstorm Comics. They're not them.
Mm.
So we're talking about like Wingless Comics and their books like Justice, or even their upcoming situation with Air Force Ones. Um, they have stories that they can put on the app today, and users will be able to read that. Um, as far as the we have it's called the Blurred News Network, the BNN, where we're having Blurred's Eye View. They have
Yeah.
a complete show centered around the weekly news in blurred happenings and goings. So there is that kind of local content. Then you got my show where I am. The next stop that we're going to is the Urban Nerd Con in April in Atlanta, where we are trying to gather as many artists that have stories that they want to get turned into movies or on television shows what we would do is if we like the story so much at the end of the season, at the end of the year, whatnot, it's like kind of like a Shark Tank sort of deal. We will fund their first issue for it to be published, and we would help them sell it at the next black owned comic book convention, because my entire thing is trying to boost the notoriety of black owned conventions. So if we are trying to get artists to come and they have to pay to get a badge to go to that black owned convention, that means that we're boosting the ticket sales for that convention. And then also we're building up the notoriety by actually having a show being filmed at that convention. We did that for J1 Con. We're going to Urban Nerd Con next to do that. And then I think the next one that we can go to is probably BlurredCon, but we're still working things out with that. So, like those are the local content that does not cost a whole lot of money to produce, to put onto the app, right? So as far as the users go, again, they're going to be utilizing this as if it's a Netflix or as if it's a Hulu. But they're coming specifically for the people that they're fans of. So, like let's say we're having a conversation right now with like King Vader. You know what I mean? He's got a show idea and we would love to produce it, but it's all about getting the show, and then we would pay for the next season or whatnot, if so long as he's able to bring his fans to the platform to watch that show exclusively on Blurred Station. So there's many different avenues that we're trying to employ to bring creatives to us so that they can do their thing and then have a place to put it that isn't on a white-based platform that will very much either diminish it in its quality or not even promote it. Because like there's a whole show called Iwaju on Disney Plus that was nowhere near promoted,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
amazing.
Is
Yeah, we
like
were
I
just
saw,
talking about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
like one thing. I was like, hey, this is happening. Oh, it's there now. So that's
right.
cool.
It's just they just drop it on there as if you're supposed to know it's there. And see, that's what we're talking about. It's not just censorship; it's being diminished as far as the algorithm is concerned, because they know what they're doing. They're filling a quota as
Yeah,
opposed to actually leaning in to say like these creatives are doing something special. So you know we're trying to give people an option that is viable to what they actually want to see, as opposed to just shoving something into their face. Because I think the statistic is like 68% of Netflix isn't watched, because those are all things that people just don't care about. Whereas if we're tailoring the content that we have on Blurred Station to not only just the speculative fiction crew, but then also those who want to support the content creators that they love, then we're giving you options. And all the
right,
while, as the company grows, we are going to end up paying you while we're entertaining you. So
right,
we are doing multiple things in order to do what? Eliminate well, produce the possibility for generational wealth within the Black community. Okay. So that sort of deal isn't something that's on other people's minds. And if it was, it would have been done by now.
right,
Everyone's worried about their own bottom line, their own pockets, as opposed to the emotional and the cultural wealth of our people, to the point where we don't have to always look at ourselves, as slaves or as thugs or as something that is always diminished just because it makes the white man feel better.
right, right. It's
So,
like that scene between oh man, what's the name? So the movie American Fiction, right?
okay.
So
Mhm.
you've got Jeffrey White, right, and the insecure lady, the president of
Issa Rae.
Zombieland. Yeah, Issa Rae.
Issa Rae.
Like that
Uh-huh.
great conversation between those two characters in the scene where Jeffrey Wright was talking about, oh, we're more than, you know, the low income woman who's got kids and doesn't know where the money's going to come to pay the rent,
Mhm.
whereas she is, her character was talking more about, well, I actually went and researched these people, so these are actual people, right? So
Mm.
if you haven't seen it, see it.
No,
I think
I've
it's
seen it.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I've seen it.
So like
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. I was just
I still don't. I still don't agree with her position. Just because they're real people doesn't mean that they need to be represented. Because we know we see that. We know
right.
that. We need to see something more. If anything, she capitulated to what the white folks loved, which was the fact that we were downtrodden and basically Neanderthals in their purview, and they didn't really see us as real people. They see us as characters, and that's something that has been the underlying like issue the entire time, is the fact that they can put our skin color on as if it's a character and wash it off, but then yet still treat us as if we are subhuman.
Right.
So no, I have an inherent issue with the way that her character portrayed her role in the whole scheme of things. No, you're an agent. You're an op.
No, I hear you. I hear. I was coming from the standpoint of, okay, both of those arguments, are noted. No,
I
but I
just
definitely feel you on the op bit.
it's
That's
it's it's
yeah.
like it's like okay, we had representation in good times, but they
Yeah.
never had any good times.
Oh.
Like if you I mean
Yeah.
it
No,
was it was
I hear
torture
you.
porn, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, this is what you're always going to be. This is all you'll ever be. That's how I
Right.
see
So yeah, be happy with it. Like
it. Yeah.
Well,
Crumbs. Crumbs.
and now we're finding that Norman Lear, was like stealing these stories or something like that. There's a black man who was like, yeah, so I thought of good times. I thought of the Jeffersons, I thought of X, Y, and Z. I'm like, well, of course you did. Cause, like,
It
sure. And
nobody
I
doubts.
know I say
No, but
that
listen, nobody
a little
doubts it.
sarcastically, but
Yeah.
of course, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a little too close to home. Yeah.
Right, right,
Of
right.
course.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was kind of not necessarily sad, but just kind of like, because when I was teaching, Banneker about, those shows that I grew up on, the Jeffersons and all that, and how the creator Norman Lear created this whole world, of these black families. And now come to see that he, I don't have all the information, so I don't know, but I will say that someone has come forth and said, yo, I did that. So I'm like, yeah, yes, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Why would you not come out and say that? So anyway, just to, see how all that is playing out. But Banneker, do you have any
Yeah. Last question to
questions?
wrap it up. I like to ask this to like, any new person I meet because I feel like it can like at least in the stuff that I care about can like tell me a lot about you. But what are your top five favorite movies in like no specific order?
Top five favorite movies. In no specific order, I gotta say Master of the Universe. Um
Nice.
gotta gotta say Masters of the Universe. I gotta say Independence Day. Um, there I was coming up in a time where I emulated myself behind Will Smith a lot.
Fair
So I
enough.
can, between it was the heavy hitters of Bad Boys, Independence Day, and Men in Black. Those were some things for me. But honestly, like I said, Independence Day, Masters of the Universe, uh, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, um, Black Dynamite, and I don't know. It's hard for me to choose between. It's hard for me to choose between Infinity War and Endgame.
Mm.
Because
I
Infinity
think that
War,
should
huh?
I was just gonna say I think that should and can count as two movies because it's
It's
As
two
two or
movies.
one movie?
I mean, sorry, I meant one movie that's,
Just
you
really
know,
long.
yeah, like the
Well,
Snyder, imagine if there's a Snyder cut of like Avengers and it's just,
I can see that. I don't have a problem capitulating to that. I don't. I'm just saying that Infinity War had a different type of feeling to it because it was like Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back all in one, where Endgame was Return of the Jedi. As far as
yeah.
like it was a trilogy within two movies, but there was some would argue that Infinity War was a better movie, whereas Endgame had the satisfaction of the fan service that
Mm,
was memorable. Um, I'm a whore for cooperative power usage, so that means that any team that I see that actually works together, that gets me going. So
Mm.
you know the fastball special between Colossus and Wolverine, or now we're seeing you know Wolverine's claws being charged up. You know what I mean? That's a whole
Ooh,
new thing.
yeah,
that's
but
cool.
I would never
Yeah,
think that that should have
it's
happened decades
it's
ago.
it should have. And then as soon as I saw it, I started asking everyone in my circle, was like, has it happened in any of the games? Has it happened in any of the comics? They're like, no, that is brand new. And we're like, yeah, you know. Um, but no, and so as far as the first Avengers movie, when you see, I mean, when they're having that tracking shot at the end where when they're fighting the Chitauri, and it goes from Iron Man's face to his foot, and then you see Hawkeye hit that one arrow, and then Iron Man lands, and then he hits Captain America's shield with his repulsor rays, and then he just clears out an entire team. I was like, that's what I want. I want cooperative power usage. Why hasn't the X-Men movies been doing that at all? And then they finally do it in like this the last stand in the
Yeah,
crappiest way possible. And then like then they just went in on it in Avengers Age of Ultron. That opening scene amazing to me. And yeah, like I love cooperative power usage. I need that to feel like any team really has been together at any given time.
right.
So yeah, those are
Yeah.
those are my Joneses.
Okay.
I will take your Masters of the Universe, which is just as dope, and pair that with Flash Gordon. Like yeah, like if we're doing Masters of the Universe, it's like, dude,
Yeah,
I gotta say Flash Gordon. And
yeah.
like we
Like I mean,
have to.
if we're gonna talk about some cheesy cereals, then yeah, that's
Yeah,
like that was the pinnacle between that, and John Carter should have been a lot better than what it was, it's because it was of that ilk, it was of that
yeah.
that thing, but they made it dumb. So yeah, yeah, because my brother and sister are 13 and 11 years older than me, so
Mm,
I'm familiar with things like I mean, my brother is what, 51, 52 now, and my no, yeah, my no, he's coming across 53 because my sister just turned 50.
okay.
So yeah, yeah. So like I'm very well versed in stuff that I shouldn't be in, should be versed in
Oh, well,
because
I
of
was
them.
about to say because your brother's the same age as I am, so I'm just like, well,
Right.
of course you knew. I was like, how do you know about these movies? How old were you? So I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes
I am
perfect sense now.
I am of the initiated. I am one of the as far as like my anime started with like Macross and Battle of the Planets.
Yes.
That
See?
is
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where my anime started, and then going to Blockbuster and then discovering what Ninja Scroll was, or Pat Labor, or what I mean, like that's, and then buying 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z for 29.99 at Suncoast. So, I am of
Yeah.
the
That's
OG
expensive.
status.
Yeah.
Yes, just for them to be hollering for
Yeah.
3 episodes and nothing happened, especially during the Frieza saga or the Namek saga. Excuse me. That was it was a time. It was a time. $30 for a DVD. Yeah.
Yeah.
One-sided DVD too. Mm. Three
Well, that, yeah.
episodes.
Three. Oh, geez.
It
like
was
three
20
standard
episodes.
Yeah.
20-minute episodes.
No,
Yeah. Well,
because like I'm because I okay because I'm looking at a stack of DVDs over here right now, and I'm thinking like no, all my Dragon Ball stuff is in the chest over there because um I've also got a set of VHSs of Dragon Ball from I bought them on eBay for
Hmm.
like $400 back in 2000, and because Toonami, they were stuck in the Namek saga and the Frieza saga before Goku went Super Saiyan, and I had the Buu saga right here, and so people were like, "What is happening? What is all this?" I had the Cell games and the Buu saga, and I was selling that out of my locker in high school. So I'm trying to tell you, if someone tells you that they got beat up in high school because they love anime, no, they got beat up in high school because they were weird. That's what it was because we were all watching Dragon Ball and all the other stuff, and it was really dope and it was really uncensored back then. And being able to sell VHS tapes to the point where I was making like $700 a week as a as a
Good
as a as
gracious.
a as a 14-year-old. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was
I hope the statute of limitations have passed, but we'll just say you were selling just blank VHS tapes, and they
yeah,
really,
right.
really like blank VHS tapes.
Right.
Lord, no, we can't have the government come after you right now, man. Like, we have to hold the line. We got to keep Hellspawn cosplay safe at all costs.
Appreciate you.
And on that note, uh, it's a pleasure, man. And I definitely want to have you back on just to like freaking nerd out because I
Yeah.
have so many questions about anime and just definitely as far as like because my son got me into anime with Attack on Titan and
Oh.
just the shock, right? I mean, growing up, Attack of the Planets and not what Gotcha Man? Gotcha Man is Attack of the Planets, right?
Battle of the Planets.
Battle of the Planets.
Yeah, Battle
Then,
of the Planets is
Ultraman,
Gatchaman.
Star Blazers, like coming home
Oof.
after school, racing to, see that. So I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that. But like this new breed, like with Attack on Titan, I got down with that. I had to
Mhm.
get over grown ass adults beating the brakes off of kids. Like, I'm like, what is
That's
this?
anime. That's child soldiers is a thing in
mm,
anime. That is
yeah.
between Naruto and hell, Yu Yu Hakusho, like all child soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they indoctrinate their kids over there.
Yeah. I don't even know how I can get down with that. And then we tried to watch Demon Slayer, and they were just like, again, just kicking teeth out. I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I can't. I
I'm actually I'm
who?
rewatching Demon Slayer right now, and I'm my promise to myself is I need to get through Iron Blooded Orphans and I think Gundam Unicorn or something like that. Because I need to get back into the Gundam stuff because
Mm,
I want to do the Gunpla stuff. Like because I want to put that stuff together because those are great like stress relievers. Like doing like a bonsai tree or something like that. Putting
yeah.
together Gundam sets are great. So
Cool. But hey,
On that,
let's
yeah.
get your socials out. How can we get in touch with you?
so Hellspawned_cosplay is on Instagram or Hellspawned on TikTok. Also blurred.and.powerful on Instagram. Or just blurredandpowerful.com. You can get to me through that as well, through the email and all that stuff there too. So please, if you have any
Awesome.
questions, reach out. I'm here.
Yeah. You're
Awesome.
really
Awesome.
you're really noble, dude, and you speak with a lot of passion, and I appreciate that. It's been cool talking to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys.
Okay.
Until we see each other again. And on
All
that
right.
note, yeah, less than a
Subscribe.
minute. So, Demetrius, thank you so much, man. I'll holler at you on IG.
Okay.
All right,
Bye.
man. Peace.
All right. Bye.